Yeah, so I think why our company was able to do it, and frankly do it well, was we got some long ball hitters. Obviously myself, which goes without saying. Please don't incorporate that. But in serious, we got Luke Larson, two-time vet. I think, you talk to anyone, one of the best lieutenants in 3-7, definitely in 3-7, definitely the core in my opinion. You got people like Sace Falk, who's a long ball crusher, economics major from Cornell. I mean, obviously bringing a lot to the table. You got Evan Bradley, who's a stud of the Marine Corps, was coming out of the IOC class, and then you got Sergeant Humphrey, Lieutenant Humphrey. I don't know how many of him are in the Marine Corps, but there can't be that many. So we got all these people in one, and you got Captain Mines leading this, who's like Captain America. So, we were pretty stacked there, and frankly, the Marines, we had some pretty stacked Marines as well. So we were blessed, and you do need special people for that. But I think you can train to it, and I think the potential. I think a majority of Marines have the potential to be great Marines. I think you do need to train to that.
And then let's move on to the next topic of kind of new concept of lieutenant. The importance of being familiar with non-military topics, economics, and education, classical sensible order.
Yeah, let me get a beer. So, like we were talking about, when you get out of IOC, you're expected to be the most tactically and technically proficient. Yeah. Proficient. Yeah, apparently that fell somewhere. Individual in your platoon.
I'll have one.
There we go. You're at least expected to be the most technically proficient in your platoon. Which is true in most counts. When you come out of IC, you're pretty sharp. And you're concentrating on everything war fighting. You're talking about, you ask anyone anything about T-55, they probably know it at that point. And at this point, IOC is adapted enough to, they are incorporating counterinsurgency, and they are incorporating the last, IOC always changes. What's happening now is that we're being placed in a role where that's just not good enough. And by no means, this is something I definitely want to make clear, is you can't stop being that, though. You have to always be that, because at any given point, it goes back to the fight. At any given point. And that's the way Iraq is. Literally 10 minutes out of an entire deployment, you could be in that fight, but that is the worst 10 minutes of your life, and that is not a point where you want to be like, oh, I wish I paid attention in that, tackling and blocking class, because that's all what we do is. It's very tackle, block, tackle, block, tackle, block. And so you almost need to have two paths, and they obviously complement each other, but they are different paths. And you need to have the warfighting path of a straight Marine Corps infantry officer, and then you also need to just have a liberal arts education, or you need to have a civilian facet that pertains to emerging markets. So whether that's economics, governance, I think for the S4 guy, it would have been great if we could have sent him to electrician school. I mean, what a skill that is to me. But the fact is, I'm ordering books on Amazon about economic. While I'm staying up at night reading about economic theory in the Middle East. I'll do it, but it sure would have been better to do ahead of time. And no one had any idea we were going there. I'm sure someone did. I'm sure Petraeus did, but I didn't. So
you're talking about community college classes or trade classes, or any classes that could pertain to this CMO topic.
Yeah, and without this has nothing to do with the book, but I'll say it anyways. But I think it would help retention a lot if imagine if every captain had a master's. Imagine if every captain, part of going to EWS was you got to get your master's in something that pertains, and that's pretty. Before, economics was never pertained to an infantry officer. Right. Now I would say it's almost mandatory.
Right.
But I think, imagine if you weren't penalized. Imagine if you could still count that as time and grade, and that'd be a crushing
law school, MBA.
Yeah, law school, MBA. For rule of law, imagine if you're a lawyer.
Right.
That's a huge MBA. That's 2 years, sure, but you're I'm sure you could tack on 4 extra years, and I'm sure a majority of people would do it, or a lot of people would. So.
Right.
Is this a feeling shared by some of the other lieutenants, or is this just something you probably think?
Like I said, I wrote a concept paper. I have it somewhere. I think it's on my computer somewhere. But and I spread it around to the other lieutenants. And part of that was just being cheeky because it was taking jabs at state. But it was written seriously. But one of the things in there was about education, and that we as Marine officers, there's a stereotype that grunts are retarded or whatever, right. and I think anyone who's actually been in combat would completely disagree with it. You literally have split seconds to start going through complex computations in your head about second and third order consequences like that. And then and that was during Ramadi 1. It's very time-sensitive things. In Ramadi 2, it was literally, but one of the big issues we had to discuss, and we went over in detail, was, do we fix this problem now because it's a humanitarian crisis, or do we kind of let the system work itself out and let the Iraqis do it, but it takes a year or two? And we were constantly struggling with that, and my personal opinion is it has to be done in both. It has, one, you can't expect the system to fix the problem when there is no system in place. That's ridiculous. Two, I think that's a little bit why we came into this problem in the first place is, they were expecting us to fix it, frankly, and so you let things fester and you let things rot, and they're saying, hey, you guys promised us this, we don't have this. They're starting to get upset. So right. What we decided is, what I think is the right course, and what I was trying to talk to the PRT about is, the Marines will handle the immediate, and we're going to start taking care of things that need to be fixed right now. We need the PRT and the EPRT to really start working on the system, and when you say the system's set, now we can start tapering off, and so it's a seamless transition. This is stuff that a lieutenant would have never thought about in 05. We just wouldn't have. It wasn't necessary.
Some, the aspects of the liberal arts education, philosophy background, are those important? In what way were they important for you?
Yeah, I would say the philosophy, for one, was more important to me in the first war, just because it was such a, I don't want to say traumatic, but it was such a, there were obviously a lot of philosophical issues brought up in the first one about, life and death, and it was a very extreme situation.
Right.
And I think where philosophy helped me out the most was filtering out what needed to be changed to get to Ramadi 2 and to change myself personally and my vision of where I wanted things to go. The second tour, the political economy major, definitely helped me out, which I